We're finally here.
Finally.
Hi, my name is Jason Diverla, president of the Players of the Pear Garden.
And I'm Cameron, treasurer of the Players of the Pear Garden.
And we are the podcast of the Pear Garden.
And that snap is not coming through at all.
Put it in post.
Thank you, Post.
Just put the sound effect.
Yeah.
Well, by the time this episode goes up, we will both have graduated and walked. So today's episode is a little bit of a special one. Well, every episode is special with all of our guests, but this one is a little bit different than how we normally do it because it's just only me and Cameron. This is going to be our season finale.
Yeah, we wanted to take this opportunity to reflect on our time here a little bit and just have fun one last time.
Exactly. You know, my side of the coin, it was a good old great time called COVID-19 that we had. And we grew into isolationism. We had done quarantine lockdown, and eventually I got accepted to Cal State. And for the first time ever, you know, lockdown was finally starting to get uplifted, and we were to go in person, right? Back to in person into CSUSB. So my first ever semester at Cal State was also the first time in 2 years. When, you know, open spaces were open again. For the university, it was also the first time it turned into a semester system rather than a quarter system. So it was a lot of big changes, right? So such a big change for me, such a big change of environment for me, but also such a big environment and change for CSUSB as a whole. So that first semester of going there, that was a journey. I did 18 units my first semester. I don't know why I did that to myself.
I mean, hey, I ended up doing 5 semesters in a row of credit overload.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. But yeah, that was, first semester was a big journey. Because I was still kind of used to the whole, you know, hanging out with my high school friends after COVID. I was like very isolated when it came to friends at CSUSB. I became a tour guide though. You wouldn't have known it. You know, I mentioned this in literally every single episode. You should watch, like, you know, the past episodes. But yeah. But there was this one silly little class.
Yes. Well, before that, you told my side.
Yeah. Let's hear your side.
Yeah. So for me, very similar situation, of course, with COVID-19 and all. But it also didn't help that, I initially did not want to come to college. Yeah, because I had a rough time in school.
Fair.
So going, like, paying for that too. Crazy. But but I decided on the last possible day to submit my applications and got into CSUSB. And then the change was really weird for me because, like, you're still at home, but I moved into the dorms. So I was on my own for, like, well, not fully, but I was at least partially on my own for the first time. And that was weird. And I was also in a new location, and I knew nobody. So I was very shy.
Shy, you say?
You wouldn't have known it.
You wouldn't have known it, but shy. Shy? Cam was shy. No, genuinely, it was so funny to see how he is now. I mean, pretty much like 90% of the entire department, like, sees Cam with this crazy energetic self, always bright, always loud, right? But my first introduction to Cameron was this very timid, quiet person that was very much like, you know, just and so to see that change, that jump, it was, I mean, honestly, you know, not to be over dramatic, but it was kind of beautiful to see that, right? That change. You know, those shells kind of peeling away.
Yeah, because, okay, wait. Before we get to there, let's go back to us meeting and me being shy.
Right.
So yes, we met in Jen's class, Fundamentals of Acting.
Yeah, fundamentals of acting. So this was both of ours first theater class to be ever taken as theater majors. Literally, this is our first semester, first year at CSUSB. And in this class, we met a lot of memorable people. Some are theater majors, some aren't theater majors. There's a few who are already seniors or at least junior standing by that time. Some are also first years like us. So it was a pretty big melting pot of a class. A lot of different perspectives, a lot of different people. But this class genuinely was such a memorable time because it was. If you ever feel like the energy of a group of individuals that just somehow worked, right? That's kind of how I'll describe this class.
Yeah.
It was just great, That's how we met some of our good friends that we still carry to this day. And yeah, it was just a really wonderful class. I mean, not only just on the friendship side, educational as well, as very educational and very eye-opening on certain aspects of acting. But yeah, it was a place to where I will give credit to kind of letting me start tearing down those walls that I built up that kind of blockaded me from giving an emotional connection with people, right? And that's kind of what leads to the whole Shite story here.
Yeah. So freshman year, I was still holding on to a lot of my high school self, but also just the repercussions of COVID were I really, because I remember at the time, during COVID, I would occasionally have Zoom meetings with my friends during lunch so that we could stay connected. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So coming here, I still held on to some high school things. I remember initially being well, I don't know anything about the music program here. I don't know if they even have one. Let me just focus on my classes. And then I remember getting an email that was hey, want to come sing in Chamber Singers? And I'm ooh, yes, here's the work I have done. And Dr. Layton was great, you're in. And I also, at the time, I was still a cheerleader.
Right.
Yeah, I was still on the cheer team, which I was on for 2 years. Became treasurer for. Helped compete. Performed on campus. Was a lot of fun. But yeah, at the time, we just still crawling out. And then, literally you had the first moment for me of, okay, I can start letting myself go a little bit here when I started joking with you out over by the amphitheater. Because we were taking a break from working on one of our scenes and just so this is what grass is.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
That was, we were doing a play called Speech and Debate.
Very good play.
Very good play. And Professor Jen wanted us to just separate into groups. We were allowed to go anywhere on campus to rehearse. And so we were yeah, let's head out. I don't even know why we went to the amphitheater. Because that was when we were in the library, right?
Yeah, at the time we were in the library.
Yeah, so, but, I mean, it was a nice spot. Actually, I think Guy led us there, if I remember, because of my tour experience.
Guide.
Yeah. But, yeah, that day was, finally, shedding, and then, rehearsing just became easy at that point.
Yeah.
The chemistry immediately started clicking, and then we got our scenes done.
Yep.
And now, it wasn't until next semester.
Oh, that's when this department started hating us.
So, okay, little funny haha. The entire department, and I mean both our friends, our students, faculty, and staff, literally call us the Peanut Gallery.
Yeah.
Now, originally, it was with two of our other friends. So it was Cam, Anna Gonzalez, Daniel Jordan, and then I. We were the Peanut Gallery. And I'll include them in a second with the story, but the following semester we had scenography. And in that class was when I saw Cam really started to shine.
Oh my God! Yeah, when we were doing the lighting
Yeah.
for View from a Bridge, which you would end up acting in.
Yes, oh yeah. And from there, oh yeah, that's not even next semester. That was a whole other year.
Yeah, that was fall 2022.
Yes.
Yeah, because we didn't really hang out much during spring 2021.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in that same semester, yeah, the peanut gallery was really born.
Yeah.
Because we had sonography together.
Yes, we had sonography together. I had already had singing for musical theater with Anna, and we also took fundamentals of acting with Daniel.
Right. So then came in together into voice of movement with Jen again.
Yeah, which that class alone, so much fun.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
it was so fun.
Yeah, no, learning about like changing your physicality and your voice. I had so much fun doing the voice acting for the children's book assignment.
Fun fact, I made Professor Jen cry with doing the Giving Tree. No, yeah, that class was so fun. Biggest highlight in my academic career is being able to perform as a dead pregnant woman. That was literally one of the monologues that I did in that class.
Yes, that was.
But yeah, Daniel, Anna, Cameron, me, the peanut gallery. So yeah, we wreaked havoc.
Yeah, we had a reputation.
Yes, we did. And so, again, it was that semester where I think literally like all layers that we had built up that kind of like eliminated ourselves or inhibited ourselves from actually being us disappeared. That was when like, oh, we came to Cam. We know Cam as Cam right now, and that's how you know Jason is Jason now.
Yeah, because at the time I was still cheerleading, but at that point I had already taken more singing classes because I took singing with musical theater, and I was still comfortable in my choir thing. And I actually got a solo my freshman year for my spring concert. And then we came together. How did we even come together in that class? Did we just decide that the wall of mirrors was our comfort spot?
Yes.
Great, because like I still remember the like official thing of how the Peanut Gallery and the homies formed was Grease Lightning. Go grease lightning, you're burning up the Goduma. Grease lightning, go grease lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that sacred wall.
But yeah, we came together
Yeah.
with Grease Lightning because Jen typically did this for all of her classes, but we didn't do it freshman year, but we did sophomore year because we were ourselves.
Yeah.
She allowed us to do an extra credit assignment where we would do a lip sync performance in front of the class. And not only did we do our own original like solo lip sync performances, but we also asked if we could do a group performance, and we chose Grease Lightning.
Yep. God. We were psychos.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a really fun class. And then that same semester,
Where are you going with this?
that was fall, right?
Yeah, that was fall.
Yeah. Then I did this this play, that just this play called A View from the Bridge. You wouldn't have known it, but I played this lawyer named Alfieri. I've talked about it beforehand in our other podcasts, on our past episodes, but that play genuinely is a play that I really, really love, just because it's a lot of different themes that talk about immigration, machismo households, and just a lot of toxicity that exists within families and just overall societies in, if I remember correctly, it was the 60s. And that's just contextually, right? Yeah. Then as an actor, I was fascinated with the fact that, oh my God, I'm in like a full-on adult show for the first time ever. Going from high school where, it's more PG, I suppose is the right word, I guess. You have to follow restrictions, etc. This was something that genuinely is like, you should not be afraid to express the full extent of the play, right?
Yeah.
And in playing as a role that is all about morality, and the narrator, that was also just so crazy to me. My first ever show in CSUSB, but also since COVID, being in front of people and talking to people, that was surreal. And so, I carry that experience really close to heart. I mean, I do that with every single production I was in, but that one in particular is something that, like, I will give a lot of, at least for personal connection and nostalgia, is something that really does hit. Ironically, whenever you see us do this in our episodes, it is because of that show. Because when I was playing Alfieri, I always talk with my hands, right? I mean, if you pay attention to the past episodes, that's just how I am. I'm always going to be like, as we're talking about this experience, that's just how I am. And so my biggest struggles during the view from the bridge was trying to control my feet and controlling my hands, because I just can't stand still, right? So Professor Terry Smith was like, "Stop using your damn hands," right? But I try to use it sparingly. I try to control it, but my literal opening, right? My first ever monologue. It is the opening of the show. Is I come on stage, I start talking to the audiences. I'm like, you wouldn't have known it, but something amusing just happened, right? And I always do this whenever I do a monologue. And the senior class at that time found it hilarious. So every time they would see me, and not just in the show, just like in general, passing by, "Jason, how you doing? How's it going?" Right?
It didn't help that at the time it was developing into you and not Alfieri.
Yeah, it became me. It became Jason at this point. And this carried forward everywhere. It was with the senior class 2 years ago. It became with the last senior class, right, with Anna and Daniel. And then we carried it. But now even our other classes, some folks that are freshmen do this from time to time.
Oh yeah, this is going to be passed on for generations.
Yeah, so it's kind of just hilarious that was the catalyst, I guess, that kind of went everywhere.
Watch us change the logo of PPG to not just the pear, but it's your hands and the pear in the center.
That's so funny. I'm gonna propose this to Scott. So yeah, that show was just. Always in my heart.
Yeah, and then afterwards, you went into your first OTP.
Yes, I did. The Other Theater Project, hosted by the players of the Pear Garden, a student-only hosted show, written and directed and created. My first ever OTP that I was in was OTP Find Your Light. Production manager was Umbra Tyson.
Yes.
And that was it was such a fun experience too. That was around spring semester.
Yeah.
You were doing a Nanzi.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes, because at the time because OTP was done during winter break.
The shows were actually during the semester, though.
Were they?
I'm pretty sure. I could be totally wrong and gaslighting myself, but I think so. I don't know. Either way, it was a crazy, hectic year or
Katie
semester.
always spent a lot of time on the barn stage.
Yeah, all our timelines are just lost.
Yeah.
Because so we had a view from the bridge.
They're not timelines; they're time knots.
Yes, and then you had OTP, FML, How Cars My Collar Saved My Life.
Yes.
And then Anansi's Carnival Adventure.
Yes.
So technically 3 productions in a matter of 3 to 4 months.
Yep.
Right.
And you guys also went to Cactif that year.
We went to Cactif, KCCTF. We just call it Cactif because it's easy and funny. But KCCTF, if you remember from way earlier in the very beginning of our podcasts, the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival. That is where a whole bunch of different schools from different regions come together into one big festival, right? And show love and appreciation towards theater. So in that same semester with O2P Find Your Light, Anansi, FML, we went to KCACTF in Vegas. Oh. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No, I'm kidding. But it was a really fun time too. It was such a chaotic semester, and honestly, there was many times where I was stressed. But it was a really, really memorable semester as well. Yeah, that is overall that. But could you talk about your experience of Anansi?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So at the time, I was still on the cheer team, which means I was still practicing Tuesday and Thursday nights. And then at the time, we also decided to get back into competing, because at the time we cheered for volleyball and we cheered for basketball. And then freshman year, we didn't compete, but we decided to sophomore year. And then I was still competing at the time. And when I did my audition and I put my schedule conflict, I was like, I am unavailable these 2 days, but once this date passes, I'm all yours. And my captains were on the same page at the time. Because I had a lot to do at that time, because I was treasurer of the cheer team at the time, and I still had to go through some of the other trainings that they had, which is very different than what we had now. But yeah, I was still I was still working my body. I was still doing what I loved. And then I was like, all right, I'm done with this. Full dive into Anansi. And that was Anansi is actually I don't really count elementary school, because it was one play when I was in first grade, so I don't really count that. But I count my true experience starting with Anansi, and I consider Kathy to be my first director, because this is where I actually started to learn to apply what I have learned in my classes, and I got to have fun being very loud as a tiger. And I got to sing, and I got to catch people, which is what I did for sport anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to have a lot of fun with that, just being multiple characters, because I got cast as ensemble, which for those who say otherwise and are wrong, ensemble is very important and very much needed. And yeah, they are important and they are needed. And they have difficulty because I would argue that ensemble members sometimes have it a bit more difficult, because when you're a lead character, you get to keep your one character the entire time. When you're an ensemble member and you're changing characters, you have to change your physicality and your voice. Well, you don't have to, but I would believe that you should change your physicality and change your voice, et cetera, to separate the characters. Mm-hmm. So I got to have a lot of fun with that, and I got to experiment a ton with that, and it was a fun kid show, and it was actually the first show to sell out here since COVID.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, that was sophomore year, and you were also in FML, How Carson McCullers Saved My Life.
Yes. So FML, How Carson McCullers Saved My Life. A typical thing that we do within our seasons here at CSUSB is we have a fall show, and then we would have 2 spring productions. Usually how we format it would be a regular play, drama or comedy, and then a musical, right?
Yeah.
We don't always follow that, but usually.
Yeah.
Now, FML was first. Anansi was the last one. Now, just to some unforeseen circumstances that happened, it was our rehearsals were cut pretty short for FML, and so we really had to, hustle, right? We had a total of 4 weeks to rehearse everything, block, memorize, and build and paint and everything. And 1 week was the table read, then KCACTF, and then that led to 3 more weeks of just go, 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 go. And, it was definitely a stressful time, but honestly, it was such an awesome experience and beautiful experience.
At least now you know how quickly you can get a show up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We'll talk more about that. So FML was directed from Christy Papier. And in this production, it was a very intimate one. It was a total max characters of 6, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Scott's going to cut this all out later, by
Yeah,
the way, actually.
Yes, he is.
No, you had 5.
Yeah, 5.
You had Joe, you, the teacher, a gay friend, and then...
Thank you, Ashlyn.
Please cut the Scott.
So it's 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5. Wow. Anyways, yeah. So those having us be such a small group is a blessing and a curse. Only curse as in just because like, oh my god, you have so much to do, but blessing because it makes it so much more personal, if that makes sense, and so it makes everyone come in together as a pact. Go Yotes. And so it was just awesome, right? And so, I mean, of course, for everybody on the team, including our director, including stage management, including designers, it was a very stressful time. Actors were stressed too. And we always just found a way to kind of just, cuddle up and just like say, we got this, become that helping hand for each other. You need help in this department or this area? Okay, let's see what I can do, right? So it was a really, really beautiful experience that overall, coincidentally, I think kind of really makes the show much more impactful in a sense of, because I mean the show really just, as without spoiling, it's very much coming to age in a sense of like accepting who you are identity wise, understanding different perspectives of life, and also realizing that there are many folks that are just like you in a sense, right? You're not alone. It's a very big message in that, and I think that's just what the rehearsal process really gave that emphasis about too. So overall, it just came beautifully at the end. Ironically as well, with my reputation as a fairy, there also gained a new reputation, a small one, but it does live up sometimes and comes back to haunt me. Reed, DJ McReady. The character, the older brother, his name is Reed in that play. I was him. And he was like the alt goth kid who just hated the system, right? But he's also a DJ, college dropout. His musical career is what will drive him forward.
I mean, hey, at least you're not a college dropout.
So DJ McReady became like my alter ego, I suppose, because the peanut gallery would be like, dude, that's literally just you.
We'll be wrong.
No, but
It's okay.
it was so funny. We even had Reed the possum.
Yes, we did. I still have that picture.
Oh, do you?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
I
sweet.
have that picture.
Yeah, there was a possum somewhere on campus, and we named it Reed.
And then Scott drew a picture of him.
Yeah. Oh, God. What a wonderful time.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that was my FML experience. I did not want to say FML, just saying. But it was a good time.
Yeah. And then after Anansi and summer break, we got into murder.
On the Orange Express.
And at the time, also class-wise, we were taking directing together.
Yes. Yes, we were.
Yeah.
So this semester, I think, honestly, would be, academically and creatively speaking, my most pivotal. Not only just because, okay, now we're in junior standing, we're upperclassmen standing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're taking, more difficult, according to like the university classes. But also it's like when it came to OTPs and our other works, directing was such a catapult for me. So directing, we took that with Christy Papier. And it was a pretty intimate experience too, just because if I remember correctly, that was a professor's first time teaching that class.
Yes, because a class had previously been taught by Kathy.
Right. And then, the student's first time taking a role like that. And so basically, the class, formatted wise, right, we would write our own scripts, short scripts, but write some, and then follow a rubric or a guideline on specific movements. So, say for example, we follow a book here, and in this specific lesson, we were to it would show and tell you, okay, your actors should move a certain way with their blocking. You take those notes and you apply that to the script that you're writing, right? And that's basically all we did the entire semester. We would write, cast, rehearse, perform, in literally a matter of a week.
Oh yeah, we whipped those out.
Yeah, it was a lot of work that we did, and the reason why I give a lot of credit to that class is because having to think on the spot, with pressure applied, when it came to writing, it helped me so much on wanting to kind of solidify and expand my universes, my stories. Like for example, for those that watched OTP, especially with the most recent one, Reconciliation, Mammonian Towers, right? That was birthed in one of my directing pieces. I made in directing, I created an antagonistic corporation that's all about pharmaceutical stuff, right? Inspiration of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. And I carried that forward. Literally in directing, I did two pieces like that. One where it was all about biological growing and harvesting.
Yep.
Another one where it was like redacting side effects on drugs, on the negative aspect on how it affects the body, but they redacted that information because they want more money. So that was this tyrannical company that I created, and carrying forward with the world that I've been trying to build, I'm like, I should make that into a real entity. So I named it Mammonian. Mammonian Corporation, which is the demon of greed, Mammonia, or Mammonia. It's Mammon, that's the name.
Yeah.
Mammon, that's the demon. So yeah, that's where I give the credit for when it came to my creative work, academically speaking as well. Having that experience also helped me kind of look into trying to guide actors in the last two OTPs that I was part of, how to help guide them, not only just in that class, but working in A View from the Bridge, working in FML, seeing how those two different contrasting directing styles, I kind of mix a bunch of them into one that I do. So that was my overall experience. How about you?
For me, it was a chance to expand my writing skills because I don't particularly enjoy writing a whole lot, even though I ended up doing it for my senior project. But yeah, I got to practice more on what it was like to just command people, but also tell how you want your piece to come across. And I remember in that class there were so many things that we just happened to do off the fly, and then it was like, oh, you did this, we're gonna talk about that real quick. Like I remember specifically, I had a scene where I had an actor as the Grim Reaper, and there was so it was two actors. One was a Green Reaper and the other was someone who wasn't fully ready to leave yet, right? And I remember I gave my Grim Reaper a direction of don't go over to the other actor, just stay there and have them come to you. And then when the scene was performed, Professor was like, you just gave him a power. I don't remember what word she used specifically, but it was like, you just gave him power over him. That just brought way more presence to the Reaper. And that was so good. So good. Like, I just remember that. But I also remember a lot of other things happening in that class. Like, I remember rehearsing once. And then the second tragedy I dealt with that year was my car being lit on fire. Yeah. So, okay, let's backtrack a bit if we're going to talk about this. Because of all the things that happened to me at this time. So before I got into Anansi, while I was still on the cheer team, literally, like, the third day of 2020, what would have been, 2023, my car, January 2023, my house was flooded, and me and my family had to move into an Airbnb, which we ended up staying in for an entire year while the house was being remodeled. Then in October, when we were in Murder on the Orient Express together, my car caught fire. And I literally remember this. Like, I was rehearsing a scene for directing, and then I get a call from University Police, and they're like, hey, your, like, car is on fire. We need you to come here. So I had to book it halfway across campus just to, like, get to the parking lot. I still have the photo. I took a B-reel of that. Because at that point, what else are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah, attacked by the Avatar, man. Like,
I really did. I'm surprised they didn't have wind and earth yet.
I mean, campus has strong winds.
Yeah, it does.
We're on the San Andreas fault line.
Yeah. So expect the unexpected. You expect the wind. You expect the earth. You don't expect fire or water.
Literally that.
Yeah, but no. But yeah, so that was happening. And then at that time, we were also in Murder on the Orient Express. You got to play a dead guy.
I got to play a dead guy.
And then I got to play a Scottish military colonel.
Matey. So...
Oh, that first rehearsal with accents will forever be ingrained.
Yeah, so Murder on the Orient Express. Let's talk about that one.
Yes. 'Cause we were directing during the day and acting at night.
Yep. So Murder on the Orient Express. I am a big sucker when it comes to period pieces, especially if it's like, in the 20s, 30s, 60s. I just love the fashion. I love the style. I love the culture, right? The history of cultures. So hearing that, it's 1930s, I was like, oh my God, right? Because I actually never read the book, nor have I watched the movie.
Same.
Right? So I was very curious, to be in a murder mystery, because I've always wanted to be in a murder mystery of a play. Right, I technically was in one for Hit and Misdemeanor in high school. Very funny show, recommend it. But at least a show that took itself seriously.
Yeah. And then you had already played 2 dramatic roles at that time. That was Colonel Arbuthnot was my first dramatic role.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
A lot of changes.
Reed was more like he had his dramatic moments, but I think he was more like a comedic relief.
Yeah, that was still in a dramatic piece.
True. And so I played the dead guy. And it was so funny because the director, Frank, he wanted me on stage almost the entire time as the dead body, right? Because we weren't going to create like a mannequin or whatever. We was like, no, we got to keep it authentic. So I was dead. Now, 2 little funny things. One thing is, you'd be surprised on how difficult it is to lie still and, play dead for, I think, a total of at least 50 minutes.
Yeah.
But then also how difficult it is to stay awake.
Oh, yeah. Both me and Anna, at different points in the play, whenever we heard your snoring, just tap your shoe or something. Be like, shut up.
Yeah, I dozed off maybe about 3 times during one of our shows. Or not one of our shows, like in our different show days. Listen, cut me some slack. All right, my days will start at 8 in the morning and then we have rehearsals till 10 p.m.
Oh yeah, that.
Right?
Oh yeah, no, that year was the start of me having 12-hour days too.
Yeah. So it was a lot, and my body said, "Sleep."
Buddy said, "I'm out."
But yeah, playing dead was so. I mean, I'm not going to complain about the sleeping part, but
Of course, you wouldn't complain about the sleeping part. Anytime
there,
you could sleep.
there was a quick change that we had to do, right? And this was the quick change that was the moment of being alive and then being dead. Now, being dead, how it's alluded, right, is because the whole entire cart or train will be sleeping, right? So you'll see me go to bed, like I'll be in my suit, full on suit, right? And then I will have to quickly change into pajamas and a robe. Now, in this quick change, skillfully, what the designers do was there's like a little quick transition. So they will put a scrim, right, over the entire thing, do projections, and then we have another character do a quick little monologue. So that gives me time to do my quick change, take off. Well,
That's right. My scene was your quick change.
exactly.
Yeah.
And even then, I had to cut it a little bit shorter because you could see me during your scene.
Yeah.
So literally the strategy was, okay, I'm in my room. I could take off my shirts. I could take off my suit at least. So that way people know, okay, I'm changing, getting ready for bed. But that is a strategic move for me to be able to get into the new stuff. So as soon as the scrim goes up and it's dark, I immediately started scrambling, right, to grab all of my costume pieces. And most of the time, it was successful. Two things I will talk about is one quick change got messed up because I didn't pay attention to where the robe was going, and it accidentally knocked over one of our glass cups that had apple juice.
That's right.
Which, thank God, it didn't shatter. Right, it just spilled the drink. Nor did it get on the costume, so it was just on the floor. But unfortunately, some of the actors had to kneel right on it. If I remember correctly, I think INR, who played Hercule Poirot, was like, "We must," like he was like, "What the hell?"
Oh yeah, there were so many times in that play something wrong. I'm pretty sure didn't something go wrong every night during that play?
I think so. It wasn't like horrible.
Oh,
right?
no.
But we had to cover some way
We
somehow.
covered so much.
Yeah, and it wasn't like the director's fault. It wasn't anything like that. It's just
No.
little mistakes that would happen with like, we accidentally dropped this, or we forgot to put this, or for some reason the chain decided to implode and disconnect. Like it was weird.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
But the other time where it was like the most difficult night for me was because when I was putting on my costume, because just to explain this piece, it's not only just the pajamas, it's supposed to show blood on the shirt, right, to represent the stab marks. So I really need to show that. So as I'm putting on the costume, I don't know how, but, you see like, well, if people are listening to the audio, you can't really see, but for people in camera land, you see this, right?
The cuff
The
of
cuff.
his shirt.
The regular. And then you also have, the bottom part of my shirt. Somehow this bottom part was here,
Oh my god, that's right.
right? So I was like, that's not supposed to be there. So I looked goofy, right? And
What did you do?
as
What did you do?
I literally was looking like a dog chasing its tail because I'm like, what is happening, right? Spinning in circles.
And then you just had to lie there on the bed like that,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I remember
But
that.
But continuing on, right?
Uh-huh.
As I was doing that, this is like the most memorable thing because to paint a little bit of a picture to how these carts look like, our beds, you have four.
It was 3. Because we had the back hallway, but then we had 3 cabins. We had your cabin, we had Poirot's cabin, and we had the...
No, it's 4.
No, it wasn't.
Because it wasn't Arvin's.
No, Arvin didn't have a cabin. Poirot did. And so it was Einar, you, and Crystal.
Anyways, yeah, we had these cabins, right? And we could see each other, literally. Like, if you were to be laying down, and you turn to your left or right, you will see the other actors. So we had eye contact with each other.
Oh, yeah.
So as I'm, like, chasing my tail with this costume piece, I could just see Einar with his mustache, just like.
Oh, yeah, that was another thing that went wrong. Einar's mustache was fighting against the man.
Oh, yeah.
I will never forget the one night, just.
Yep.
For those who cannot see and who are not in camera land, Einar's mustache for Poirot was a fake mustache. And so one night, half of it was hanging on for its dear life while Einar is like giving this dramatic ultimatum monologue. Like this penultimate monologue, just constantly flapping up and down the entire time. None of us could keep a straight face. None of us. It was so hard. It was so difficult. You were lucky because at that point you were off stage.
I was off stage. I caught the aftermath. But I had the aftermath.
I so wish I ripped that mustache off his face that night.
That night, though, I was laughing because, again, I didn't see any of that.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
I heard the stomping of running up the bomb, right? I see him running out, right? And usually he is running. Oh, anyway, so I was hey, Einar. But nah, he was determined, right?
He booked it.
He threw his cane, and he was like Flint Lockwood style, right? Like, he literally jumped off the stairs and went straight to backstage. And I was like, what's going on with that guy? Anyways, so right, and then I heard the aftermath.
Oh yeah, because
Did he try like doing this or something, or
oh yeah,
it just threw him on stage?
Everything. The spirit gum just wanted to fight against him, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, he literally remembers Brittany, our VP. Check out our president on our vice president, Brittany. Literally like tossing him the spirit gum, him catching it and then running backstage to reapply it.
Yeah, that was
a night. Because I had so many fun moments during Murder on the Orient Express, especially because, okay, so to add a bit of context to this, Jason and I never got to act on stage together. And even though we acted in this play together, the way that the play was written was that one actor was supposed to take up two roles, which happened to be our roles. So now that they're split back into two people, they never interact with each other.
Yeah.
So there would be so many times when I am backstage I was having so much fun with Cheyenne and the other actors and crew members back there just reenacting your lines and like just lip syncing along to you guys. It was so fun.
Miss Perot. Yeah, sit. Name's Ratchet. Oh, God.
Yeah, no.
That was a fun time.
No, I specifically remember with Cheyenne, I would be doing, it would be Arvin and Crystal's characters. And it would be like, how am I supposed to know?
Yeah, oh my
God.
God.
Oh, God, yeah. That show was so much fun.
It was really fun.
Yeah, I got to learn a lot from it.
And then we did OTP, The Brave and the Bold.
Yes, we did.
That was really fun. That was my first time submitting a script and directing my own piece.
And that was my first time being part of OTP at all. You got that the previous year. I did not.
Right. That OTP was really, really fun. It was such an awesome mix of drama, comedy, dancing. I had the privilege of, again, having my own piece, directing and, casting, writing, but also doing sound designing. It was awesome.
Didn't you also work the sound booth?
Yes.
Yeah, you got to do a lot. But for me, oh my God, of course I'm biased for saying that something that I am in is absolutely fantastic and my favorite. But that OTP was legitimately my favorite just because, A, I got to be choreographed by Anna who at the time had recently stopped teaching dancing, but she was a dance teacher when we met her. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get to like be choreographed by a friend, and I get to dance again after not having danced because I couldn't be in cheer anymore in order to act in Murder on the Orient Express.
Right.
So that was so fun. I got to be in your piece, and I got to be in Jose's piece too. Yeah, that was it. I was a part of 3 pieces. And so that was so fun for me to just act. Like, that year felt like I did so much as an actor. I am very proud of that year because of how much I was able to do.
Yeah, it was so fun. Yeah, it was a very busy year for you because you did Murder, and then you did OTP, and then you went to be part of Pippin.
And I also did Anansi again for Cactus.
That's right. We went to Glendale for Cactus for an invited performance of Anansi. Damn.
Yeah. Sort of have a reputation of doing way too much, way more than I should, and just being like, I'm fine. No, I'm not.
Was it worth it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the experience was absolutely worth it. Like, I mean, there were times where I was like sad because, like, of course it sucked that I left cheerleading, but I got to actively improve on my skills as an actor with the different classes I was taking. I got to know what it was like to be a part of a touring company. I got to learn like the different, like, I got to be like different characters like in an ensemble and how quickly to change for things like OTP. I got to be directed by you, and I got to be part of a script by you.
Right.
Like, all of that.
Now, as we continue on with, our past other experiences, right? Do you want to talk about Pippin?
Do we want to take a little time out?
Let's take a quick little time out.
But yeah, so going back to what we were saying, I got to do so much that year. It was just like, I quite literally did everything as an actor. I did a drama, I did a comedy, I did dance pieces, I did everything.
Senior year. So yeah, you probably been wondering for the past 30 hours, why are we dressed this way? It's just to represent our capstone projects, right? What did we do? We both did films.
Yes, we did. You did an hour and 17-minute long film entitled Phantoms Unknown.
Yeah. If you'd like to watch Phantoms Unknown, take a look into the Phantoms Unknown channel that contains not only the film, but also the music that I have created.
Shameless plug.
Phantoms Unknown. Okay. I want to become writer, director, actor. As a career, I want to publish my own works. That is full-fledged, my own ideas brought to life, right? And I hope I could direct some of these pieces and put that under my belt. And so Phantoms Unknown was a very big passion project because I had conceptualized this specific film since about 2020. I wanted to make a YouTube series called Phantoms Unknown, where literally the whole concept of it is there's so many different people that exist in this world that are haunted by their own goals, their own dreams, their own memories. Maybe it is a real ghost, and they don't even know it. So Phantoms Unknown. So I wanted to make it an anthology where this doctor would tell stories of his past clients and what they're going through. But I never did it. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the effort or energy to do it. But with my senior class, the capstone class, I said, you know what? I'm gonna make that class push me, right? And make sure I just go for it, right? And that's what I did. It's an hour 17 just to give it the anthology feeling. It's 3 different stories put into one. The doctor, the lady in the white dress, and then the folk who smile. If you remember during Brady's episode, we brought the masks. Those masks were created for that film. Yeah, so that was my capstone project, and this suit that I'm wearing, the gloves, are representative of the characters that exist within this film.
So I ended up doing a lot of things senior year, but in particular, just to gloss over my senior project really quick, I ended up producing an original short film. I wrote, directed, acted in, camera operated, video edited, song recorded, song edited. I did a lot for this, and it's entitled Dear Joker. It is based off of Batman the Animated Series, in particular the episode Mad Love, where at the end of it, Harley Quinn gets pushed out of a multi-story building because Joker pushes her out with a giant swordfish. And the end of that episode has Harley getting wheeled back into Arkham, where she instantly goes wanting to be back with Joker, and it's one of my favorite episodes ever. But I decided that I wanted to give Harley a different ending, so this is my Harley Quinn cosplay that I am wearing right now: the leather jacket, the flowers for Poison Ivy, and the gloves and all that, because this is the outfit that Harley ends the piece in. But yeah, that's our capstone project, but we still had a while to get there. We still did Midsummer.
We did Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare.
And you got to act one final time on the barn stage.
Yes, I did. I played as Lysander. I have a funny little relationship with Shakespeare just because my first ever theater experience was with Shakespeare. I did theater my 8th grade year, rest in peace Mr. Belak, and he was the one that brought me forward into just pursuing it and studying and overall understanding the cultural significance of historical plays. And yeah, we did a lot with Shakespeare. I did 2 Noble Kinsmen. That was my first ever show. And I never touched Shakespeare again. Only other time I had to analyze a Shakespeare piece was Romeo and Juliet in high school, and it wasn't even a performance. It was a writing class to where I had to make an alternate ending to Romeo and Juliet. It was really cool. But from there, I was not really involved with Shakespeare at all until Midsummer Night's Dream. So it was really challenging to look at the old original texts, analyze it, break it down, and carry that realistically in a sense of it's not just word vomit. It's poetry. It's art, right? And you need to express the fact that this is not only just an art piece; it is human life that you're trying to tell and express. So it was a challenge, to try to translate and find the context of all the lines in A Midsummer Night's Dream as Lysander, right, and carry that as a human, be a believable human being rather than just a text, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it was really fun, at least in the acting perspective. It was really fun to look into breaking down the scripts, breaking down the context, especially with the lovers, as Lysander, as my lover being Hermia, and then the crazy chaos that came to be because of Demetrius and Helena, right? So the 4, us 4 were always together trying to navigate through the experience. It was awesome. Very beautiful show too. Technical wise, all of those designs in every single medium was beautiful. And yeah, that was really fun. So I actually, in a little bit of an emotional sense, it was kind of, when we did our final closing night, I honestly cried because it was I completed a full circle. I started theater as doing Shakespeare, and I ended my undergraduate career doing Shakespeare. So that was a little bit of an emotional moment for me. So that was my experience with Midsummer. How was your experience, Mr. Stage Manager?
Oh, God. I ended up stage managing, which I was completely terrified of doing because I auditioned and I did not get cast, but I was approached to be the stage manager because at this time I had already started working for the music department, actually. I started working for Dr. Leslie Layton, she hired me as her choral music library assistant. And I had also known to be very reliable in terms of like getting my assignments in and producing good work for my acting classes. And so Professor Papier and Eric Moles, our technical director at the time, asked me if, or like recommended me and asked me if I wanted to do it. And I said, sure, I'll do it, because I still wanted to be with my friends. And I decided that it would also be a good skill to have, because at that point I had no technical work whatsoever. So to go from 0 to 100 like that is a bit insane, but I managed to pull it off. And I also ended up getting nominated for my work at this year's KCACTF. I unfortunately could not go, but yeah, they were impressed with my stage management work. So, yay. Oh my God, yeah, we've done a lot. And then we did OTP after that.
Reconciliation.
Yeah, but we've talked about OTP
Yeah.
already. Yeah, y'all know the deal.
Watch our previous episodes in this season to find out more about OTP reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, with that being said, Jason, what are those pretty little colors dangling from your neck?
we have earned our chords. I don't know why I said ribbons. I said ribbons. Chords. This burgundy one is just to represent our GPA, 3.5 or above.
Uh-huh.
And then this cyan / white. This is going to be representing the fact that we are a student organization.
Club officers.
Club officers.
Mm-hmm.
And then this medallion that I have is for EOP. EOP, Educational Opportunity Program. I was part of this since my freshman year. They helped me a lot when it came to advising and guiding myself through the 4 years here on campus on completing my work and becoming part as, doing my work as an undergrad. Those counselors, thank you, Debbie. She was the one that is always with me. Yeah. So that's kind of what I carry, at least for right now. I do have some other stoles and other stuff, but I want to show this at least.
Yeah. And then I here have my Academic Excellence Medal. I actually got to pick it up today. So the Department of Theater Arts nominated me for the undergraduate outstanding student for my work that I have done within the department while also actively keeping my grades up. I've done 5 semesters of credit overload. I'm currently enrolled in 20 credits for this semester, which is insane. But I've been able to prove time and time and again that I can be reliable, I can work well with others, I can rise to a challenge when it's something new to me, and just push and push and push. So, yeah, and then cut here. Can we get our stoles back? Let's talk about our stoles. Thank you, stole.
Thank you, stole. We love you, Ashley.
And we're back. And we also officially have our stoles. How do we put these on? It's this way, right?
Yes.
Symbol on the right? Yeah. So, now, with us, we decided to do custom stoles to commemorate our time here. I have music note for the work I've done in the music department with the chamber singers. I have a megaphone for my time as a cheerleader, and I also have listed my time as treasurer for both the players of the Pear Garden as well as the CSUSB cheer team. And what do you have, Jason?
So, as you can see, ours is pretty similar. We decided to get at least the same format, I suppose, if that makes sense, to make it seem as if, we're club officers. Theater, because, theater. President, 2025. My name. I wanted to represent the fact that I am Latin, so we have these custom designs here, and then at the cross, I am Christian, and then I am first generation. And then players of the Pear Garden, CSUSB, and then
We also just got this mid-recording of the podcast episode. We asked our lovely guest last time, Miss Kat, to embroider these pears on our stoles.
Go watch our episode.
Thank you very much, Miss Kat. I hope you enjoy those Dove chocolates. Dove and above.
Dove and above.
But yeah, so here's the thing. Before we get out of here, Scott mentioned to me, who is not with us right now because he was busy doing other stuff as a staff member. This isn't just to be for us to reminisce on our time here, but also to talk about what we have learned in general as students, as officers, as students who do extracurricular activities. So what are some of the bigger lessons and takeaways that you have had with your time here?
Embrace humility. Embrace humility. Embrace the embarrassment, as I like to say. And let that leap you forward. You know, just from personal experience and from what I've heard from friends, it's think so hard on the fact that I'm trying to impress this person, I'm trying to impress this organization, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we get consumed by fear, right? And that fear is what inhibits us from actually going to take that leap into the other side of what could be, you know, an opportunity of something great. I have learned that mistakes are okay. You know, mistakes are okay, and it's okay to not know everything. We are a university, a school for a reason. We are here to teach you. If you make a mistake, laugh and keep going. You know, again, counting bridge as, you know, it was a fun and nostalgic experience, not just because of like, oh, I'm back on stage, but because of the fact that I had to break every single thing, every single habit that I learned during high school, that honestly was very toxic in a sense for me, damaging to my mental state, because I was like, I have to know everything. I need to be on top of it. I have to know everything. And if I don't, then I'm a failure, right? It was pretty extreme, but that's honestly what I taught myself for some reason. And that was all broken away. And it was a tough journey to kind of really break that apart. But finally letting that go and understanding that I have to learn. I am filled with fear. I am filled with anxiety. But rather than letting that, you know, plummet me down to a corner, I'm just going to let it pave the way into me stepping into new opportunities. And that's overall what I've learned all throughout my 4 years here. You have words of wisdom?
Yeah, I'd like to think I have a couple words of wisdom. They kind of go with this. It's been off camera or out of frame. But last night, I went over to Jason's and we decorated our caps together. You will finish yours soon enough, and you'll see when we post our graduation photos together.
Yes.
But mine says this: you're on your own, kid, with endless possibility. So this does have a couple of meanings for me. Sorry if I start tearing up and getting emotional. So first and foremost, I've been put through a lot here in college. I have lost pets. I had cars catch on fire. I lost my house. You know, I've been through a lot. But that has also pushed me to A, keep going, and B, know how to take whatever you learn and pass it on into whatever else you do. When I did Pippin, I was able to incorporate and teach others some cheerleading and stunting skills so that we could make it more circusy. And I had to learn how to be comfortable in a costume of a character that wasn't me. I had to learn how to break away Cameron, keep some of those elements to build the foundation of a character, but then build upon and change things and create the character separate from me. I also had to learn, well, not had to, but I also did learn how to just enjoy my time as much as I can. Because, like, as we are no longer going to be students, we will be alumni. of this university, there was a time for me to be a cheerleader, and then that time came for me to stop that, and I had to go and act on stage. Then I went from acting on stage into working in the booth of the stage. So with all of that, you are on your own, kid, but with endless possibility. It's a bit of a reference with some. You're on your own, kid, with endless possibility. This has a bit of a double meaning for me. Well, multiple meanings. So, as I discussed in my interview episode a little bit, I am a Swiftie, and so one of Taylor's songs that I wanted to reference was a song called "You're on Your Own, Kid." Taylor has helped me through college because her songwriting has helped me become more comfortable with my emotions, and just has become very, very, very therapeutic with her songwriting. And Midnights, the album that this song is off of, came out not my freshman year. It was her first original album since I enrolled here. And so it does have a bit of meaning for me, because I still remember the cheer practice the night it came out. It was me, one of my captains, and another teammate. We took a water break, and we were like, guys, the album is out. And we rushed to our phones and played the first song, Lavender Haze, on the water break. But also, that year, Taylor did a graduating speech at NYU where she got an honorary doctorate. And a part of that speech is saying that the cool thing is you're on your own now. Well, the scary thing is you're on your own now. But the cool thing is you're on your own now. So that has helped me get through this. And then, so that's you're on your own, kid. And then there's With Endless Possibility. I've also been a Sonic fan for a very long time, and a song that I hold very close to me is from the game Sonic Unleashed. It is Endless Possibility by Bowling for Soup. And so I wanted to reference not only something that has been with me since college, but also has been with me since my childhood, and something that I have carried all the way through here. And then, I decorate it with sparkles and glitter because I'm a cheerleader. Of course, there's going to be sparkles and glitter. And also a couple of other references just with the colors. But on top, I have my theater mask and the bass clef for my work I have done academically. And also below that, I have the pear, of course, for the players of the Pear Garden, but also a megaphone for my time as a cheerleader as well. So, yeah, we've done it.
We've done it.
Way after this episode airs, we will have walked. We will have been leaders. We lead the pack.
And you'll be introduced to the new board.
Yes, you will.
2025-2026.
Whoop, whoop. Now show off your cap. We had
my unfinished cap, yeah.
Your unfinished cap. Come on, show it.
Yeah, it's not done. I still need to work heavily on it, but
I'll hold it.
Thank you. It is an eye, dead center. A symbol that I utilize for all of my work is an eye. It's to represent the phantom or the shadow, one of the original characters who always watches, whether we are knowing that or not. So I just want to represent the eye here. I think it's cool, just at least have a little bit of what I've created a long time ago here. But each section is to represent a different personality or something that I love, such as an XO for The Weeknd. I'm a huge fan of The Weeknd. A Salvi flag because I'm Salvi. Starry Night because Van Gogh is one of my favorite artists from growing up, and then another one called Man on the Moon, Kid Cudi. So that's overall what I want to do. But yeah, that is that. I do want to say, I think, to finish this off, it has been a journey, hasn't it? It's been 4 years, right? And technically, you know, again, I've been roaming this campus since I was 6 years old, so it's pretty surreal to be at this time and moment. I've seen my sisters graduate here, and now I'm in that turn. All I can say is it's been an honor, you know, being a student here, and it is an honor to carry forward to say that I've met these professors, the faculty and staff that have taught me to who I am to this day, the people that I've met throughout this time that have guided me through this journey and been by my side through these journeys. It is an honor being the president of the Players at the Pear Garden, the first and longest running club here at CSUSB. Mm-hmm. So, you have any final thoughts to say before I close this out?
Yes. As someone who initially never wanted anything to do with going to college, I am very glad that I took the plunge. The student debt is worth it. I got to grow in so many ways. As an artist, I got to learn way more of my craft. I got to expand my skills as a singer and perform at Walt Disney Concert Hall. I get to continue cheerleading for a little bit, and it was something that I loved and still love so much. And I'm so glad that I did it. And to be here with you after all this time, and to have worked with so many students, faculty, and staff who have worked with us and alongside us to create the work that we do for students, for audiences. It has been absolutely incredible.
With that being said, we appreciate you tuning in to this season of the podcast of the Pear Garden. My name is Jason Davila, and when this is uploaded, I was the president of the Players of the Pear Garden.
And I'm Cameron. When this goes up, former treasurer of the Players of the Pear Garden.
And that concludes the first season of the podcast of the Pear Garden.